YouTube channel. In this week's video, I'm going to talk about 5 tips that I have for aspiring models, specifically ones that are brand new to modeling or the modeling industry, or even if you're someone who's just entertaining the thought of getting into the industry. These are tips for you to help you decide if this is something that you want to pursue, or if you're just looking for tips to help make your transition into the industry easier. But first, before we get into those tips, we have to talk about the giant balloon arch behind me. It's so cute! So I got this for free from a neighbor. She made it for a party, and when I went to go pick it up from her house, she was like, "Have a good party," and I was like, "Ha ha ha." But what I really did was I used it for a self-portrait photo shoot, and that video will be coming soon. But also I'm hoping to use the arch again in a different photo shoot, so we're just trying to get all sorts of use out of this super cute arch, which is exactly why I had to make it the backdrop for today's video. But let's get into the 5 tips that I have for aspiring models. Tip number 1 is to practice being photographed. Now, you might already take selfies regularly or have your photo taken when you're out with friends or family, but that's not enough. That's average. Most people do that anyway. And if you want to be a model, then you have to work on having your picture taken like your career depends on it, because if you're a model, it does. When you're new to modeling, you don't quite know all of your best angles, you don't quite understand how a photo works, how interacting with a camera works. So the more that you have your picture taken, the better, because you'll be able to figure out way quicker what looks good for you in a photo. And it also gives you a space to experiment with different expressions and poses, because if you're on an actual photo shoot, that's not the time to be like, I've never done this before. You need to deliver in those situations, so use your practice as opportunities to try new things and learn what are your best angles. Tip number 2 is to be active on social media, and this is very easy to do if you're doing tip number 1. With all those photos that you're amassing from your practice, it should be pretty easy for you to post very regularly on social media, which is exactly what I did. Social media is one of the most useful tools for people who are starting out as models, because it not only networks you with other models and photographers, you can also follow other people who can give you inspiration. If you're looking at getting into collaborating with other creators and doing trade shoots with them, it's definitely helpful for them to see that you post frequently, because then they know that you will post the photos that they create when they work with you. Being active on social media is basically how I grew my career to how it is today, and my projection for growth at this point is exponential, and that's why I keep staying so regular on social media, because I believe it's such a powerful tool for models. Tip number 3 ties very closely into social media, and that is to network and support other people. So while you're doing all this posting on social media and interacting with other people, hopefully you're able to build relationships from this. It's exactly what I have been able to do, and I have met so many wonderful people. I have so many valuable friendships with other creators, photographers, makeup artists, and models, but you can't do any of it in the spirit of competition. We're all here to support each other, give each other tips, help each other out. Definitely view it as an opportunity to learn from other people and grow together. The people in your physical location, in your market, can be such a wonderful community for you if you decide to create valuable relationships with those people rather than trying to compete with them. You need to make sure that you're keeping your reputation in check, so make sure you're on time to things, make sure you're polite, make sure you're pleasant to work with. Tip number 4 for aspiring models is to remember that the modeling industry has definitely a lot of stereotypes and conditions that people believe are hard and fast, like you have to be a certain height, a certain size, a certain look. It's not as specific as you think, because what I believe is more important is your skill versus your size or versus your height. The skill is the most important part. Make sure you're practicing, make sure you're challenging yourself, make sure you're learning new things, because if you want to be successful, you're going to have to learn the skills that it takes to be a model. It's a very technical career field, but it can be learned by anyone. You just have to be really determined and proactive and never give up. The last thing I have to say as a tip to aspiring models is to beware of what I would call a freelance scam. Now, this is a term that I literally just coined at this very second. I live in Utah, so our market specifically has a serious issue with freelance scams. And that is where the industry is taking advantage of people in order to pay them less and not pay them what an actual model's time is worth. For them to take the time to come participate in the photo shoot, also for their image to be used for whatever the photos are for. Specifically, it's when I see messages that are like, hi, I'm looking for a model to model these beanies for this brand. There's no pay, but you can have free product. Or I'm looking for a model, $50 for an hour to model these beanies. Like, you might think like, oh, I'll do it for experience. Or $50 an hour seems good. If you're working with an agency, they would never allow you to get paid that little. And that's why I say to beware of these freelance scams, because they're essentially scams because they're not paying you what you're worth. The value that you're giving them to be in their photos, which they need photos, is far greater than what you're getting in return of $50 and absolutely zero control over how your image is used. Now, if you're wondering how to avoid this, definitely seek out agencies in your area, see if you can get representation, because agencies make sure that you're getting paid fairly and also that your image is not being used in ways that it's not allowed. Also, royalties. The person messaging you on Facebook about doing a shoot isn't going to be following up with royalties. Another way to avoid this is just while you're working up to being able to submit to an agency, just don't do product shoots for other people. Product modeling is something you can practice with your own practice in the mirror, practice with your phone, have someone else take pictures of you so that you can practice what it's like to model with a product, but you're not getting taken advantage of by the freelance scams. And that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that these tips were helpful to you. Please share it with anyone who you think might be interested in watching this video or someone who might benefit from knowing these tips. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and of course subscribe to my channel here. Comment down below any other tips that you have for aspiring models, or let me know if you have any questions if you are someone who's just starting out yourself. And I'll see you in the next